informative video. I'm going to be talking about how to stay motivated on your new lifestyle journey of losing weight. So I have noticed that a lot of people, for some reason, will start a diet or a new lifestyle change, whichever mindset you want to be in, and we don't stay motivated. Somehow along the way, we lose track, we lose focus, and then ultimately we quit our diet. Well, you are not alone. According to the Daily Mail, most women quit their diet after 5 weeks, 2 days, and 43 minutes. So that's not even 2 months, ladies. So I would like to share with you today my top 10 tips on how to stay motivated on your new lifestyle or your new diet. I personally like to call it a new lifestyle because if it's a diet, then that means that there's going to be a quit date at some point. You're only going to do it for a little bit and then you're going to go back to the ways that you were doing before, your old habits, your lack of exercise, your lack of discernment when it comes to choosing your foods. And I really think that this should be a lifestyle. So with that being said, I would like you all to sit down, get out a notebook, and just ready to take in my top 10 tips on how to stay motivated. And while you're getting those things, don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button in the bottom corner. And don't forget to share with your friends and family so that they could stay well informed as well. Now, just to give you my background, I am currently a cardiology fellow in my first year of fellowship. I've already completed 3 years of internal medicine residency, and so those are my credentials. As far as my motivational tips, most of them are really just things that I think that will benefit anyone who's on a new lifestyle journey, because after all, we are the ones who are in control of the things that we put inside of our mouths. Nobody is forcing these things down our throats, and we're also in control of deciding how active or inactive we're going to be. Obviously, if you have a disability that you're unable to work out, that's a different story. But for those of us who do not have a cognitive disorder or a mental disorder, you have the power to reach your goals. You just have to search within. And I do like to always also add the caveat that you also have a higher source that you could tap into when you lack the motivation and drive. Because after all, we were all created in God's image, and He wants us to be the best that we can possibly be. So that means that we have to be in the best physical shape that we possibly can be within reason. So stay tuned to my top 10 tips on how to stay motivated on your new lifestyle journey to the epitome or epitome of fitness. Before I get into the top 10 motivational tips to staying on track on your new lifestyle, I wanted to first talk about some reasons that have been given as to why people quit their diet or lifestyle change. One of the first reasons is being hungry. Now, if you are hungry, your body is likely going to be craving food. You're either going to become hangry, you're going to get a headache, you're going to have abdominal pain, you're not going to have enough energy, and so you're just going to say, enough is enough, I don't want to do this diet anymore. Now, how do we combat hunger? Is actually making sure that your calorie deficit is not so restrictive that you end up not having enough calories to sustain your basal metabolic rate. What is your basal metabolic rate? Your basal metabolic rate is essentially the amount of energy you need in order to perform just living, like just sitting and doing nothing. You need energy to do that. Believe it or not, your body is burning calories when you are doing nothing. The reason why you gain weight is because you eat in surplus of that and you do not do anything to create a deficit. The reason why you maintain weight is because the same amount of calories that you put in is the same amount of calories that your body is going to use throughout the day to perform normal, regular activities. However, if you go ahead and you start eating in such a deficit that your body can't even perform its essentials for staying alive, then you're going to be hungry. So in order to make sure that you're not hungry, you need to make sure you know what your basal metabolic rate is and that you eat within that, or you do enough physical activity to combat the amount of calories that you are eating. So number 2 is unrealistic expectations. So research has shown that in order to sustain weight loss, it is healthy to lose 1 to 2 pounds per week, guys, not per day, per week. Now, if you are on a keto diet, you may realize that in the first week, you probably lost anywhere from 5, 10, 15 pounds in that first week. Now, that is because you essentially got rid of all of your glucose stores and all you had to do was lose body fat. However, as the weeks go on, you're probably not going to keep losing 6, 7, 8, 10, 15 pounds per week. It's probably going to be closer to 1 to 2 or 2 to 3, and that is healthy and sustainable. Now, if your expectations is that if I do this diet, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in 1 month, unless you are like hundreds of pounds overweight, the likelihood of that happening is slim to none. And when you set yourself up for that type of expectation, you're likely going to fail because you're not going to meet that expectation, and you're going to say, this diet isn't working, I'm going to go back to my old ways because those old ways made me happier. So let's remember why we're doing this and not have unrealistic hopes and aspirations. Is getting discouraged. So a lot of times in life we get discouraged. Now, we can be the source of our discouragement, or others can be the source of our discouragement, especially for those of us who live in a household where nobody else is dieting or they view dieting in a negative way. Now, for a lot of us who grew up in households where our parents or grandparents or aunts and uncles had a negative view of dieting simply because that was never an issue for them growing up. So when they see you dieting, they're wondering, why aren't you eating my food? Why are you trying to lose weight? You look fine. But at the same time, you know that your current health status is not where it needs to be. Sometimes they can be a source of discouragement. Also, you yourself, it's a mental game, and you can be a source of discouragement because you're telling yourself, I can't do this. I've tried so many diets in the past and I've never been able to achieve my weight loss goals. I've been working out, I've been counting calories, I've been doing this, that, and the third, and I'm not able to achieve my goals. And so you already psych yourself out. Now, when you're on a new journey, you want to make sure that you are staying encouraged and not discouraged. Next, feeling deprived. I know that when I started my new lifestyle, in the beginning, I had it in my mind that this is going to be for the betterment of myself. So yes, that first week when I was on the keto diet and I was literally only eating plant-based protein and cheese and drinking water, and Propel was added to my drinks. That was literally what I ate for 5 days. Yes, I admit it. I definitely felt deprived. However, that was what was needed to get me into ketosis. Once I was in ketosis, I was able to introduce things like salads and vegetables and little granola bar snacks and yogurt and cottage cheese and all of these other really great additives to my food and seasoning. Of course, I wasn't even able to add certain types of seasoning that first week. And it's very difficult and challenging if you feel deprived during your diet. So if you're doing a strict diet for a little bit in order to get yourself into ketosis, I just recommend that you do it for a short period of time, or else you're just going to ultimately probably crack and eventually just binge on everything that you've been depriving yourself of. So you have to make sure that you're not so strict that you end up feeling deprived, because if we feel deprived and we have access to the things that we're depriving ourselves of, we're likely going to seek them. Now, the next one is getting sidetracked. I don't know about you, but this new way of living, I get distracted all the time. I could be on a task, like for example, earlier today, I said, I'm gonna make myself some breakfast. I walk into the kitchen, I see dishes in the sink, I end up starting to wash the dishes, then I end up noticing that there's a glare on my window, and then I wanna wash the window. And in all that time, I ended up distracting myself from actually doing what I needed to do, which was to eat on time. And when you're on this new lifestyle journey, you really need to eat on time, because if you don't eat on time, then you're just gonna get hungry, then you're gonna get hangry. Your body is gonna start to slow down its metabolism, and then by the time you eat, it will have been so deprived that you just end up storing the food that you eat instead of having it readily available for digestion and then ultimately burning of fat. So my recommendation is to try to stay focused on the task at hand. This can be achieved through mindfulness meditation. For anybody who has ever tried meditating, there's some really great apps that can help you stay focused on the task at hand, because this world is full of so many distractions. Our phones are a distraction. Television is a distraction. Our children can distract us. Our friends can distract us. There's so many, our own thoughts distract us. And sometimes we literally just need to sit quietly and just focus on one thing and exercise that ability to focus literally on a daily basis until it becomes natural to stay focused. It is so hard to stay focused for a lot of us, even those of us who do not have an actual disability of attention deficit disorder. It's just very challenging because of all of the stimuli that's coming into us from moment to moment, day to day, minute to minute. So we have to stay. And the last reason that was given as a reason why people quit their diets or new lifestyles is an all or nothing mentality. Now, if you're a type A personality and you're very much like all or nothing, then fine, that's gonna work for you. However, for most people, we require some type of flexibility. It cannot just be all or nothing. Like, even when it says you must eat this, and this for the next 5 days, well, when I started my keto diet, I looked at the menu and there were some things on the menu that I had no desire eating. One of the things was cottage cheese. I don't like the texture of cottage cheese. I don't like the taste of cottage cheese. And they wanted me to eat cottage cheese like 3 days a week. I tried it and I hated it. And so I said, absolutely not. I'm not doing this. I did it for like a couple of days and then I was done and found something to replace it with. You have to realize that you do not live in a fixed environment. You have choices, there's substitutions, there's options, you are free, you have free will. You can give yourself options. You do not have to have an all or nothing mentality, because if you do the all or nothing mentality, essentially, if you make a mistake and say you're on this new lifestyle journey and you go out and say you eat something like a Snickers bar and that was definitely not on your diet and it's an all or nothing mentality, then you're just going to say, well, oh well, I ate the Snickers, I'm done with this diet, moving on, whatever, I failed, I'll try again next month. And honestly, this is a journey. It might, even though it says, okay, you have to get into ketosis in 5 days. Well, what if it takes you 10 days to get into ketosis? Because it's very difficult to go from eating tons of carbs, crackers, cookies, cereal for maybe 30 years of your life, and then all of a sudden to say, all right, I'm going to have eggs for breakfast, I'm going to have some meat for lunch and some meat for dinner. If that's just not how you've been used to eating, it's going to take a while for your body and your mind to say, okay, this is what I'm doing. So just be flexible and realize that it's going to take time. So those were 6 reasons why people fail diets according to health experts on MD Links, which is a platform that physicians fill out different surveys. That was that. And now I'm going to be going into my top 10 tips to staying motivated while you are on this new lifestyle journey. It is so important to stay motivated. I think most of the reasons why people quit the diets all had to do at the end of the day with a lack of motivation. So I am here to give you my top 10 tips to keep yourself motivated on this lifestyle journey. It's not easy, but it's totally doable and totally worth it in the end if you will just hang on. I don't even know why I said the end. There really is no end. This is your new lifestyle journey. It's totally worth it. There will be no regrets when you start to put yourself in a position of better choices. My first tip is to remember why you are doing this and who you are doing this for. Now, for many of us, we are doing this sometimes for the approval of other people. We want other people to tell us, oh my gosh, you look so great, you lost so much weight, congratulations, you look amazing. And yes, those positive affirmations from outside sources feel wonderful. However, the driving force as to why you should stay on this lifestyle journey should really come from within. I even recommend writing down the reasons why you want to lose weight and make them personal. Not because so-and-so will be happy, or I can't wait to see how people look at me, or I can't wait to attract so-and-so. You really need to go within yourself and think about, why do I want to lose weight? What does losing weight mean to me? How will I feel when I have reached my goals? What is the driving force? For me, my driving force as to why I wanted to lose weight was because I personally did not feel good. I had some physical health issues that I was dealing with, and I also just wasn't satisfied with what I saw in the mirror, and it didn't make me happy, and I wanted to be comfortable in my whole self. I wanted to be confident when I walked out the door, when I looked in the mirror, when I stood up in front of a crowd, when I talked to my patients, when I was telling them, this is what you need to do to be within a healthy BMI, and I myself was not in a healthy BMI, I just felt like I was being a counterfeit, that I was being a hypocrite. Here I am as a physician telling patients, you need to be X, Y, and Z BMI, and I wasn't even that. So my motivation was for me to feel confident in my true whole self. So think about it. What is the driving force for you? My next tip to staying motivated is to set mini goals. What do I mean by that? Yes, your ultimate goal might be to lose 100 pounds, 50 pounds, 20 pounds, 10 pounds, but that can seem really big and really overwhelming. So instead, I recommend that you set mini goals, like by what's the next month? The next month is December. By December, I want to have lost 3 pounds. By December, I want to have lost 5 pounds. By December, I want to have lost 10 pounds. Whatever that is for you, set up mini goals so that you can start celebrating while you're on the journey. Because if you're waiting until the end to celebrate, you might lose sight of that goal. However, if you have those mini goals, like by next week, I want to have lost 2 pounds, that's great. You're going to stay motivated. You're going to stick with it. However, if you know that you're not going to lose 50 pounds until next March, you might say, well, I have till March. It's okay if I don't stay on track this week because I have till March. And then because you're looking so far ahead, it just seems like you have all this time, when in reality, every choice that you make now is going to determine whether or not you achieve that goal in March. So don't lose sight of the mini goals. They're really important, and I think you should definitely set them. Is to eat foods that you honestly enjoy. I touched base on this earlier when I was talking about the cottage cheese. I don't like cottage cheese. I don't like the texture. I am definitely a texture person when it comes to food. I actually really hate onions. For anyone who knows me, I can't stand them. And it's really not because of the flavor, it's just the texture. Ever since I was a kid, it just made me think that I was eating something slimy, and I just didn't like it. So I just don't eat it. Same thing for you. If you are starting a new journey and say you're on a program that gives you a list of foods that you have to eat, if there is something on there that you cannot stand with a passion that actually triggers your gag reflex, don't eat it. There's no point. Essentially what's going to happen, you're going to buy it, it's going to go in your fridge, and it's going to stay there until it expires. Or you're going to try it, and it's going to trigger your gag reflex, and you're probably going to quit your diet. So if you do not like this new food item, just don't buy it. I'm not saying that if you hate all things that are healthy, that's acceptable. No, but there are definitely healthy options that you can find that will work within this new lifestyle that you do not have to hate. If you're somebody who has been living off of candy and chips and donuts, I'm sorry, those are obviously not an option, but you can definitely find things that you can enjoy on your new journey. You definitely can. It's just a matter of seeking it, researching it. You can check out my videos from different subscription boxes that I have received to see healthy options that you can choose from. There's so many resources. There's no reason to be eating or being forced to eat foods that you do not enjoy. To look at old pictures. So, for anybody who is on a new lifestyle journey, many of us may have previously just avoided taking pictures. Like, I don't like how I look in these pictures. I'm gonna stand in the back, in the corner, whatever. Those are group photos. However, given the society that we live in today, a lot of us definitely have at least 1 or 2 selfies on their phone. I'm guilty of like 40,000 photos total. But anyway, if you look back, one of my dear friends, she's hilarious. Anytime that we're in a group conversation and we ask a question that has been asked before, her response will be to scroll up. She does not tolerate you asking a question that has already been answered. She tells you to scroll up or to search it in the chat menu box. So with that being said, do the same thing when it comes to your selfies or group photos or whatever photos that you have. If you do not remember where you came from, you've already been there. You need to scroll up You need to search those pictures, and those will be your motivational tools, because seeing where you came from can help to keep you on track towards where you ultimately want to be. A lot of us will say, I don't notice it. I'm only losing 1 or 2 pounds. I was there too. One time, I only lost 0.6 of a pound in 1 week. 0.6. Let me tell you, that can be very discouraging when you're putting in so much work and you lose 0.6. Well, at the end of the day, I was 0.6 pounds lighter than I was the last week. And if I had looked at my photos, I would have seen it in my face. I would have seen it in my arms. I would have seen it in my neck. So I just recommend that instead of focusing on the scale, you actually scroll back or scroll up and look at your former photos. They will tell the story for you. Planning something when you hit your mini goals. So I really believe in setting fun things to do once you've achieved something, because you deserve to be celebrated. You deserve to have fun. You deserve to enjoy this new journey that you're on. It's not just about being so strict and regimented. So it could be anything. It could be, I'm going to try on, I don't know, a shirt that I haven't been able to wear in a year. Or I'm going to buy a new pair of pants or a new pair of shoes. Or I'm going to go see a movie. Or I'm going to go out with one of my friends. Or I'm going to do whatever it is that makes you happy. Just come up with something and set a goal. Set a prize for when you hit those benchmarks, because a lot of us are motivated by positive reinforcement. If I do this, what will you do for me? Well, it's going to be an even exchange between yourself. If I lose 3 pounds, I'm going to rent that movie that I've been avoiding renting on Amazon because it's $20. When at the end of the day, we used to go to the movie theater and spend $30 in one sitting. But for some reason, renting it in our house just seems a little, I don't want to buy it. What can I say? Just a cheapie. This is my next tip, and it has to do with one of my favorite pastimes, which is shopping. I love shopping. I never get sick of shopping. If you give me money, I will know how to spend it. No shame in my game. But anyway, we're not talking about going out. We're also not talking about spending money. When you are on this new journey, because you do not know what your ultimate size is going to be, I just recommend that you shop in your closet, especially if you're somebody who holds on to clothing that no longer fits. And for most of us, that is true. We have clothes in our closets that we have not been able to wear in eons. I don't know what we're waiting for. I don't know if we think that eventually our bodies are going to shrink with absolutely no effort. But let me tell you, I'm sure you have clothes in your closet that you have not worn because of X, Y, and Z. Tell you the truth, I even had clothes in my closet that I purchased that did not fit at the time that I bought them. So I recommend that you go in your closet and you shop in it and start trying things on, and you can say, oh, in a month, if this fits, great. Then I won't have to throw it out. If it doesn't fit, or if it now becomes too big, that's even a bigger motivational force to keep you on your journey, knowing that you can wear the clothes that you haven't worn in years, or the clothes that you bought that were too small, and of course clothes that are now too big that you can give away, donate, throw away, however you wish to dispose of those clothing. I think the clothes that we loved previously are a great motivational force, because if you loved them before, you probably love them now. And how great will you feel to know that you can still get into those jeans or that skirt or that shirt or whatever it is that you really love that you haven't been able to wear in years. My next tip is to weigh yourself. I used to be somebody who never weighed myself. I owned a scale and all it did was collect dust. I would just look at it, avoid it, run from it. When I had to go to the doctor and they would weigh me, I would just close my eyes and not look where they placed the little weights. Or I would just tell them, just weigh me, do not tell me. Well, let me tell you, that is not going to keep you motivated. If you do not know how much you weigh, how much you've lost, how will you know if your new lifestyle is helping you get to your ultimate goal? You won't know. Yes, a lot of people say, do not become obsessed with it. Go by your pictures. Go by how your clothes fit. Well, at the end of the day, you still need to know what's going on. You need to know whether or not you are truly in a deficit. Why? Because if you don't know, then what's going to keep you on this train? If you don't know where you're going, if you don't know where you currently are, how do you know when you are going to get there? How do you know how far you are from that goal? For me, I checked myself every week while I was in the acute phase of my weight loss. Weekly weigh-ins. Either I went to Medi Weight Loss and they weighed me, or I weighed myself at home and I checked it, and then I got off the scale and called it a day. If it was 0.6 pounds, oh well, 0.6 pounds. If it was 1 pound, awesome. If it was 2 pounds, great. All I needed to know that I was not gaining. And that's all that matters. As long as you are not gaining, you're on the right track. Now, of course, if you are working out and you are building muscle, that's a different story. But if you are in a path of losing weight, as long as you are not gaining, that is all that matters. So what do I recommend? Getting a scale. There's actually tons of scales available on the market. Some of them are able to tell you your basal metabolic rate. They're able to tell you your BMI. They're able to tell you your total body water. They're able to tell you how much, what your percentage of fat is. I think those resources are definitely helpful. However, you do not need them. All you need is a basic generic scale, and make sure you use the same scale every day. Not every day, every time. Make sure you take off your shoes, your coat. I just recommend doing it in the morning when you get out of bed, just because when you're throughout the day, your weight might also fluctuate. So same time every day. Don't be obsessed with it, but also do not avoid it, because you need to know where you are on your journey to staying motivated. Now on to my tip number 8. Tip number 8 is to have an accountability partner. I think this is so important. When I was on my weight loss journey, I initially started out by going to Medi Weight Loss. A lot of people cannot afford Medi Weight Loss. They do not have a Medi Weight Loss near them, but they have other options like Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers or whatever the latest and greatest available weight loss program is in your principality. However, you can also utilize your friends, your family members, a coworker to help you stay accountable. Now for me, I had an accountability person who I literally would weigh myself in front of. So I went from never weighing myself to now getting on a scale and weighing myself in front of someone. And that was a huge motivational force for me, because I knew that I was going to have to get on that scale, not only by myself, but in front of someone else. And it wasn't so much that I was doing it for them, but I wanted to be proud, and I wanted to make sure that I was actually doing it. Because if it was up to me, I would just keep that scale under the bed, let it collect dust, and do nothing. But knowing that I eventually was going to have to step on that scale, it kept me motivated to stay on the diet. And it also encouraged me to keep going. Having other people on your team who are holding you accountable, who are cheering you on, who are on your side, is going to ultimately drive you to your success. We do not live in a vacuum. We need input from other people, not because we're doing it for them, but it's just a source of encouragement. and accountability for you to stay on track. Because if you're invested and others are invested in you, you're likely to stick with it in the long haul. My motivational tip number 9 is to always remind yourself that this journey is a process. You are not going to lose weight overnight. You cannot make these changes overnight. Even when you first start the diet, you probably had a pre-contemplation phase, a contemplation phase. Then ultimately you made the decision, okay, fine, I'm gonna do it. I'm finally gonna do it. So you've been thinking about it for quite some time. And that was a process. Well, now this is now going to be a process. Your body, the reason why human beings have been able to survive so many different tragedies, storms, earthquakes, all of these different changes is because we're efficient at storing energy. We've survived famines, the dark ages, so many different disasters in history, and we've survived them because we are efficient at holding on to energy. And that is why it is so difficult to lose weight for so many of us, because our bodies don't want to. Our bodies want to hold on to every ounce that it can take because it doesn't know when the next famine is coming. Yes, the likelihood of us having a famine is slim to none. However, our bodies have not adjusted to this new lifestyle of vending machines and fast food stops and all this availability of food everywhere we go. Our bodies haven't adjusted to it. So we are conservatory masters. So our bodies are going to take time to finally let go and say, fine, I'll lose the weight. Our brains also need to adjust. And so it's going to take time. You didn't gain the weight overnight, just like how you didn't become whatever age you are overnight. Even the birth of a child is such a long process. All of the incubating in the womb is a process. It doesn't, even thinking about however you were able to achieve whatever skills you have, walking, learning how to walk was a process. Graduating college took time. Nothing happens overnight. So constantly remind yourself that this is a process. It's going to take time. I have to put in the work. Even if you started this journey the same time as somebody else and they've seemingly lost more weight than you have, it doesn't matter. You never know, your body might decide to lose 5 pounds 1 week instead of 0.6. Your body might choose to lose 2 pounds instead of 1. We all have different bodies. It's going to take time. And just remind yourself that this is a process and to trust the process. My last but not least motivational tip is to remember that beauty exudes from the inside out. I know a lot of people think it's cliche to say things like, oh, beauty is only on the inside. It's only the inside that counts. Well, what I am talking about is what is going on in here and in here. Because you have to constantly remind yourself that you are beautiful no matter what size you are, no matter what you look like in the mirror. There was literally a time where I was crying because I literally I just didn't like it. I didn't like myself. I didn't feel good. I didn't like what I looked like in the mirror. I didn't like where I was. I didn't like so many things. And a lot of it were lies that I was telling myself. I was telling myself that I wasn't worthy of loving myself. I was telling myself that I wasn't worthy of feeling joy about my successes. I was telling myself that I hadn't achieved anything because of X, Y, and Z. And there were so many roadblocks in my head as to why I didn't enjoy the person who I was, who I had become to be. And that takes a lot of inner work. And if you haven't worked on your inside, it is not the time to work on your outside, because all of the lies and the garbage that you have been telling yourself is gonna trick you into quitting early, into making bad decisions, into telling yourself you can't do this, into telling yourself it's been too long, I've been doing this forever, I haven't seen any results, what's the point? You gotta fix what's in here and what's in your heart, because if you don't, you're only going to set yourself up for failure. And that takes time, that takes prayer, that takes some mental work, some spiritual work. It could take therapy. If you have a chemical imbalance in your brain, it could take medications. It is so important that when you start this new journey, that you are also fixing, I don't even want to say fixing, but getting right in your head, or getting out of your head, because you can be your own source of discouragement, dissatisfaction, lack of motivation, because you haven't worked it out up here. And it is so important that you work it out. You won't regret working on your mental and spiritual health, because it'll only help to keep you motivated on this physical journey. Because after all, we are mind, body, and spirit all in one, and it's all interchangeable. Have you ever heard of the saying, mind over matter? It's so important to make sure that you are in the right mindset. So I just recommend that you work on your inner self and call yourself beautiful even when you don't feel it. Seek help through counseling, through reading scripture, through therapy, through medications. Whatever it's going to take to get you in the right mindset is going to keep you motivated on this physical journey. So those were my top 10 tips on how to stay motivated when you are on this weight loss journey. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope that these tips will help you to stay on track. So if you really love this video, give it a thumbs up below. And if you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, what are you waiting for? I have so many new ideas and videos coming, and I would love you to be a part of this journey and to share your stories with me, your comments, and to always be ready for the next video. So how can you do that? Hitting the little subscribe button below. It is free and you will not regret it. Well, until next time, I am Dr. Kathleen Pressois, the host of this channel, Passion to Practice, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.